The only apprehension that I have on this auspicious occasion is that the legislature is in session in Salt Lake City. And some of us aren't there, including the governor, to guide them through the labyrinth of bills that are before them and so on. We hope that no mischief will be done in our absence. This is an impressive sight for many reasons. In the first place, it's a great joy to meet in this superb new structure, which becomes the heart of one of the largest colleges at Utah State University. Second, because of the unusual response by so many of you friends who have come to share our excitement, our pride, our joy. And third, because we can share this occasion with significant leaders in education, government, and business who demonstrate by their presence the recognition of the importance of this great facility in the future of education in the state of Utah. We welcome all of you this morning, those on the first, second, third, and fourth levels. Are there anyone on the balcony, Jim? Is there anyone, that's terrible grammar. Is there anyone on the balcony? I'm sure I express the appreciation of our students, faculty, and staff with this welcome. Here today are the governor of the state of Utah, Norman H. Bangerter, and his lovely wife, Colleen, Charles Bullen, member of the Board of Regents of the Utah System of Higher Education, the Associate Commissioner of Higher Education, C.C. Foxley, and the past chairman of the State Board of Education, Ruth Hardy Funk, from our own institutional council, Chairman Kenneth Anderton, Vice Chairman Bonnie Nelson. In addition, we welcome other members of the commissioner staff, other institutional council members, superintendents of several school districts, principals of our public schools, state legislators, those who have the courage to be away from the legislature at this time, Mayor Russ Felstead, and other city and county officials, business leaders, our own alumni, students, faculty, staff, and staff members. Of special note are several members of Mrs. Emma Eccles Jones' family, members and friends. We greatly regret that Mrs. Jones could not be with us to receive our heartfelt appreciation. She is truly a gracious, lovely lady who is 91 years of age. And it would have been a special joy to have her today, but we are pleased that we're able to take a videotape of what will be happening today. Bill Lai, the Vice President for University Relations and Development, will be taking the video to her Sunday. In the meantime, thank you all for sharing this historic occasion with us. To begin our program this morning, we are honored to hear from our governor. As you all know, Governor Bangerter has moved boldly beyond the difficult tax cutting of last year with a challenge to the legislature to use all available resources to address the persistent problems facing Utah. We are grateful that he has proclaimed the importance of education, both public and higher, among his first priorities. Please welcome the Honorable Governor Norman H. Bangerter.
Thank you very much, President Kazir. It's a pleasure for Colleen and I to be with you today as we dedicate this great facility. And we appreciate the invitation to join with you. And we appreciate President Kazir and the work that he does here at this institution, and Dean Ballum for the work that he does in keeping the education work moving forward. This is a great demonstration of public-private partnership with the local community and individuals making contributions to bring good things to pass in our society. USU holds a special place in my heart. I still remember back in 1941 when one of my older brothers graduated from high school and left home, and I was a boy of about 8 years old to come clear up to Logan to go to Utah State, and it's enjoyed a special place in our family since that time. I saw a poster the other day that impressed me. It was a picture of a beautiful mountain scene with clouds hovering around the top of the mountains. The sun was shining and the skies were blue. It looked a lot like the beautiful mountains around Cache Valley. At the bottom of the poster were these simple but profound words: "Happy are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price to see them come true." You've done that here today with this dedication. There are many happy people here today. I came primarily to check that Dean Ballum's office is not bigger than mine. We have to make sure that we keep things in perspective. An author once wrote, "A dream is an exclusive production played for an audience of one." This is not true for the dream that helped create the Emma Eccles Jones building. This has been shared by many and will continue to inspire many generations to come. I'd just like to pay personal tribute to the Eccles family and my good friend Spence, who is here to speak for that family today. They've been a family in Utah that has stepped to the line personally and collectively and in the private and public way to make good things happen in our state for as long as I can remember. So Spence, to you and the rest of the Eccles family, I express my personal appreciation for your contribution, not only for this building, but for the other things you've done and continue to do on a daily basis for the state of Utah. This building will play an important part and an important role in the lives of thousands and thousands of people in the state of Utah. It will inspire them and it will change, I believe, their lives. And it's important that we have today public education and higher education represented, because we really have one agenda in the state of Utah. We don't have an education agenda and an economic development agenda and a business agenda. We have one agenda, and I think our state is pulling together well today with all factions of our society joining together to improve the quality of life and the economic opportunity and the educational opportunities for all of our children. And when we think in terms that it's one program and that we all have a role to play, I think that's when we really make strides towards achieving those lofty goals for our people. So I'd like to commend the dedicated teachers and administrators who will work here, who will come here for their training, who will make a contribution to this great state. Jack Kennedy, President of the United States, said, "We need men who can dream of things that never were." And if he were president today, he would certainly add, "We need men and women who will dream dreams that never were." And we have those kinds of people in Utah. As I look around this state and travel the state in our educational institutions and every other kind of institution we have, I see people who are willing to go the extra mile, to make the extra contribution, to spend the extra time that's required to make Utah successful in every endeavor. So I honor all of you today who have had a part in this great project, and I wish you well as you continue to train those who will train our children and grandchildren for generations to come. Thank you very much.
I'd like to echo the appreciation the governor expressed to the Eccles family, because if you walk throughout this campus, you see many buildings carrying the name of Eccles in one form or another. And it's not just true at this campus, but other campuses throughout the state, not just education, but other endeavors that enhance the quality of life, the quality of civilization in this state, and we're most appreciative. Thank you, Governor Bangerter, for sharing your sentiments with us and for being here. We appreciate your willingness to come to Logan at such a pressing time with the legislature, and we hope they have not done any damage in your absence. Our next speaker was to have been the chairman of the State Board of Regents, Douglas Foxley. He called this morning, could barely talk. As you know, there is a vicious form of flu that somehow has invaded Arizona and Utah and Montana at least, if not other western states, and at least his voice conveyed that, and we hope that by the end of the week he is on his way to recovery. The unique feature of Utah's system of higher education is the operation of special governing boards. We have the Board of Regents for the 9 campuses, and then also the Institutional Council that gives special attention to each of the institutions. Though the distinction between the Board of Regents and the Institutional Council is sometimes blurred, we are most grateful that our council provides wise counsel, guidance, and support. Because of his particular interest in his alma mater, it is a pleasure to welcome as our next speaker the chairman of the Utah State University Institutional Council, Kenneth G. Anderton.
I'm honored to join with you this winter morning in a celebration which marks the reality of dreams past with the completion of this beautiful building, and to join with you in the expression of hope, even faith, that our dreams of education for the future may also become a reality. While others elsewhere have been experimenting with a cold fusion, we have discovered here a warm fusion of caring by a remarkable lady from the private sector, of concern by the officials of this great state that the College of Education at this university have the physical resources needed to prepare it for a journey into the 21st century. All of this has been carefully nurtured by dedicated leaders at this university. May I use my role today as an institutional council member to speak on behalf of the constituents of this university, the good people of the state and beyond who love and support this institution. On behalf of all of these, I express my warmest feelings of gratitude for all of you who have made this day possible. While we celebrate the completion of the building today, our greatest hope is for what will happen within these walls. This College of Education has a long and distinguished history of service to its constituency. It's an exciting prospect to bring together the administration, faculty, and staff in this new building, where the dynamics of the college will be enhanced and the course for the future will be charted. May I, on behalf of the constituency of this college, express some concerns and some goals as we prepare for the future. One of the concerns I have is that we continue the great land grant tradition under which this university was founded. In the first 100 years of its existence, this university has filled the spirit of that mission in a remarkable way. The university education is still available to individuals from all classes of our society who can benefit from that education. Our hope is that that opportunity will continue for the next 100 years or so. While college costs and university costs are rising across the country, somehow, some way, we have still kept the cost of a college education at this university consistent with what the marketplace will bear, and it is my hope that we will continue to be able to do that. I commend this university and this College of Education for the spirit of the land grant concept, which reaches out beyond the campus into other parts of the state. And certainly, Dean Ballum, this college has done more than its share in carrying the load of bringing education to people in other parts of the state, the nation, and the world. We appreciate that spirit and hope that that will continue. In a world where we tend more and more toward a clinical approach to problems and a technological approach to problems, let us remember that some things do not change. The students who come here have a basic hunger to learn from caring, credible adults who serve as models of intellectual accomplishment and conviction. Julia Ward Howe told the story how on one occasion she approached the senator from her state who had been in office for a long period of time and had grown somewhat enamored of his own importance. And she asked him to intercede on behalf of one of his constituents who wanted a small government pension and needed that pension. He replied to her, "I no longer have time for individuals. I can only be involved in great causes." "Remarkable," replied Julia Ward Howe. "Even the good Lord hasn't reached that stage yet." The United States is a nation of incredible wealth and opportunity, yet it is also true that 23 million adults are illiterate and another 47 million are functionally and borderline illiterate. Of adult workers who have lost their jobs in the last several years, between 30 and 40% are functionally illiterate. While we do better than that in this state in terms of our education, this college has a great opportunity to make a difference in resolving this problem. It is also increasingly clear that students who are educated in the walls of this college will be in global competition with students from Japan, Europe, and other nations, and we must prepare them for that kind of global competition. At the same time, in a recent study by Clark Kerr, it was discovered that 2/3 of the finest and best universities in the world are in the United States of America. And so we must take advantage of that quality as we attempt to solve these and other world problems. I think as citizens that we have realized the great contribution that universities make to education. I do not think we have yet realized the great contribution that universities make to our economy. And we need to do more study, and we need to follow up in organizing and realizing how much contribution the universities can make in our economic sector. August Heckscher stated more than 30 years ago, when we were preparing our response to the Russian Sputnik, education cannot do everything in a state, but unless its ideals are thoroughly grasped, its methods soundly elaborated, above all, unless the price of maintaining it be resolutely and comprehensively supported, there can be little hope for strength in a democracy or freedom anywhere. Certainly there is hope here today, and to paraphrase the words of Yogi Berra as he was honored at Yankee Stadium, I would like to thank everyone who made this event necessary.
Thank you, Chairman Anderson, for those thoughtful remarks. Inimitable. A university is only as strong as its faculty and the students it teaches. Utah State University is particularly fortunate to have eager and able students who not only dedicate themselves to their course work, but also become involved in every aspect of student life and governance. Student government participates in every committee and council of this institution. Representing the Associated Students today is the Senator of the College of Education, Todd Kornberg, a major in secondary education. He will now express the appreciation of our students for the great new facility made available to them through the cooperative efforts of private friends and public funds. Mr. Kornberg.
That was quite an introduction. I think I have to be honest with you a little bit. I'm student teaching this quarter, and I think the reason they put me on the program today is to give the students at Logan High School a break. So that's why I'm here. We, the students from the College of Education, have long felt the need to improve the quality of education we receive here at Utah State University. We know the pressures that await us in the education system and want to be prepared to meet those challenges when we enter our professions. This building stands as a symbol of pride to the students here, wherein we shall find principles of truth that will resolve every confusion, every problem, and every dilemma that will face the education system and every individual in it. We now, as future educators, can rely on no one but ourselves to conquer the challenges we have in front of us. We must learn to hold our heads high with pride and not be ashamed to admit to our peers that I am an education major. I know personally that I was not put into this world in defeat, nor does failure course in my veins. I am a teacher and will succeed in my quest to make a difference in the education system. This building will be a new beginning for the students in the College of Education. We will hope for enlightenment here at Utah State University, so we will be prepared and able to go with our might, with good thoughts and a quality education to meet our lifetime goals. We hope for good judgment to learn from our mistakes and use our knowledge to gain wisdom and maturity. We hope for success in our work so that we may help find answers to some of the problems that face our society today. but we would be foolish not to ask help in getting down this golden road we will be traveling. We need help from faculty, administrators, legislators, citizens of the community, and fellow students to help us get our start in the fields of our endeavors. We as students believe it is wise to ask for help to acquire knowledge, to study constructively and think clearly, so that we may retain what we have learned here in this structure of learning. We as students not only appreciate this building because of its long overdue value to this university, but also because we no longer have to fight for space to breathe and work. We also don't have to ward off the box elder bugs that have plagued us for so long in the old building. And we no longer have to listen to the heating pipes as they bang above what our instructors are able to scream. Maybe now it will be possible to enrich our college career. We as students want to thank the Eccles family and other contributors who have helped make some of my dreams realities. I believe in the future of education. To live and work in this system of my choice will be pleasant as well as challenging. I hope we may continue in our quest, but gifts such as this will help make my personal quest a much brighter journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. We all have a new sense of pride in our association with the faculty, students, and the goals of this institution, this particular facility, faculty, and the programs therein. Thus far today, we have directed our attention to this excellent new facility. But we should also note the fact that we are today commemorating the renovation of the Edith Bowen School. That was part of the condition of Mrs. Jones's gift to us. The last operating laboratory school in Utah. The Edith Bowen School and the person for whom it is named were the inspiration for Mrs. Jones, which led to her decision to provide the challenging grant for the new construction. Mrs. Jones was a close friend and colleague of Edith Bowen in the formative years of early childhood education in this valley. And she made a condition of her grant that this building be constructed adjacent to that school so there could be a mutual development of learning for both college trainees and for the young students of Edith Bowen. This is already occurring, and we are delighted by the consequence of that decision. The symbiosis is demonstrated now by a musical presentation by the first, second, and third grade music students from the Edith Bowen School under the direction of Mrs. Ilone Long, and accompanied by Marilyn Johnson. They will sing Thanks to Utah and It's a Small World, and they will sing from the second balcony. I was going to ask for an encore and got it. Thank you, students, Mrs. Long, Mrs. Johnson, for that enthusiastic performance. All speakers, you have a hard act to follow, those of you who are speaking subsequently. Many comments have been made about the unusual architecture of this building. As you can see, it provides an open, airy setting which will surely enhance the pleasure of learning and living for all occupants. Our next speaker is Mr. Ron Simmons, the principal architect representing Edwards and Daniels Associates. I'm sure he'll be interested to learn the origins of such an interesting design. Mr. Simmons.
Thank you very much, President Kazir. That really is a tough act to follow. On behalf of Edwards and Daniels Architects, let me say that we are very pleased to have had an opportunity to be involved in such a fine and challenging project as this one has been. It's been a project that so many people have devoted so much time over the last few years. It would be hard to single out more than maybe just a handful of you here today, and that's what I'd like to do. The first gentleman that I'd like to talk about is a real challenge because I don't think it's really possible to pay tribute in a deserving way in view of all his efforts. Not unlike Martin Luther King, he had a dream, and he had a dream about 10 years ago. And I would guess that probably every day in the last 10 years, he has probably thought about this new building that he was going to be in someday. He's been patient, he's been available, he's been inspirational, hardworking, and I think probably one of the reasons why we, as architects, have had such a soft spot in our heart for this project, because he's made it worthwhile. Obviously, I'm talking about Dean Ballum and everyone at Edwards and Daniels. Everyone at Edwards and Daniels wants to thank you for making our job enjoyable. I'd also like to thank Dean's staff, many individuals who spent many hours, long, hard hours, sitting around a conference table trying to decide what it was that they needed in order for them to carry out their teaching responsibilities when this project was finished. Third group, I'd like to thank Wendell Morris and Campus Planning. Wendell seems to be the glue up here as far as new construction and planning is concerned. He has that rare ability to meet with large groups and make sure that they don't get too far off the path. In his own gentle way, he sort of guides you back onto the straight and narrow. And I hope Utah State is conscious of how lucky they are to have someone like Wendell guiding their new construction plans for the campus. I'd like to thank DFCM, Neil Stowe and Wayne Bingham, and especially Jim Soderberg for the many long, hard hours that he spent with us up here during the planning and construction of this project. I'd like to thank David and Abel Paulson for their efforts during construction. It wasn't an easy project to construct. It was a small site, constricted, a lot of problems, not problems, but challenges structurally on a site this tight, and they did a yeoman's job, I think. What you see here today, architecturally and spatially, and what you see here functionally are the efforts of a young man who was the project designer on this project for our firm, Burt Cartwright. I'd like to have him stand up. Now, last but not least, the project manager, a young man that can tell you where every bolt and nut and piece of rebar and hinge and what else, ever else there is that's gone into this mammoth project. He's practically lived up here for 2 years. Craig Bybee. Would you stand, Craig? I know the only problem I'm going to have with Craig now on Tuesdays and Thursdays is he's going to be late at the office, and I know that car of his is just going to head towards Logan automatically. Now, in spite of all the efforts and hard work and many long hours by the people I've mentioned and several others, this project still isn't finished. And it isn't finished because we don't know whether it's going to be successful or not. It reminds me of what a young Greek architect said in about 1600 by the name of Vitruvius. He said, in order for a project to be successful, it has to have three qualities. It has to have firmness, it has to have delight, and it has to have commodity. I can attest to you, especially after that last number, that we probably have firmness. I think the building's going to withstand the test of time. Delight, I hope you'll agree with me that it's a delightful building to be in. Commodity, that's the unanswered question. If the building inspires teachers to teach, and if it inspires students to learn, then as architects we can say we've been successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Now we have the opportunity to hear of the particular challenges faced by the construction in the building of this large, of this size and complexity. Please welcome Mr. Abel Paulson, representing the firm of Finn B. Paulson Construction Company.
Governor Bangerter, President Kazir, Mr. Eccles, honored guests, and ladies and gentlemen, I am honored at this opportunity to say a few words of the dedication of this splendid new facility. Finding myself in this unaccustomed situation, I am reminded of the occasion that President Reagan encountered while touring a federal corrections institute on the West Coast. He was suddenly asked to say a few unscheduled words to the residents. He was about to address them as my fellow Republicans and hastily reconsidered that. Then he was all set to call them my fellow Americans, but he realized that they no longer held citizenship. So he started off with, I am so happy to see you all here today. This beautiful structure is the result of the effort of many hardworking, dedicated people since its initial conception in the minds of that far-sighted planner, Dean Bellum. We owe to those who labored to raise the funds, to the generosity of all the donors, to the honest taxpayers of the state of Utah, and to our legislators who have always made education a top priority, a real vote of thanks. In the planning stages, the university outlined their requirements to the firm of Edwards and Daniels. It was under their project manager, Craig Bybee's direction, that all of their needs and wants were met in this refreshingly delightful building that you now see about you. To design a building with close to 400 rooms and an absolute minimum of the windowless dungeon-like rooms too often encountered is a tribute to their talent and dedication to perfection. Yesterday, one of the staff testified to me he had just escaped 12 years in a windowless room and was grateful to find himself in this new building. Buried beneath the basement at either end of the area we now occupy are two enormous masses of concrete to securely anchor it against the forces of earthquakes. The walls are tied to steel beams, which are in turn welded to 4 tall stair towers and 8 L-shaped shear walls, all reaching 55 to 65 feet in the air. During construction, these stood like some latter-day Stonehenge colossuses before the masonry gave final form to the building. Strangers wondered aloud to us at the construction sequence as these tall, stark concrete towers were each formed and poured in splendid isolation. It was my highly qualified, hard-working partner, David Paulson, who as our project manager came up with the methods and sequences of constructing this sophisticated building. Taking a page from Ron's book, I'd like Dave to stand and take a bow. He's driven up here Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for the last 26 months. You may have noticed that the building has very close quarters as it sits tight up against the tennis courts on the north, busy 7th North on the south, and hemmed in by evergreen trees on both ends. The only feasible method of construction was to start at the center and proceed outward toward the ends from there. It was more like assembling a boat in a bottle, actually, than the usual methods that we employ in building a building. I want to acknowledge the cooperation and high standards of performance of the mechanical subcontractor, A.H. Palmer and Sons, of Logan Electric, Ace Mill, Gordon Glass, and all of the other subcontractors, suppliers, and skilled workmen whose united efforts constructed this building. Now that the building is completed, carpeted, and superbly furnished, Dean Ballum's once scattered departments will have the opportunity to efficiently work together on one site in comfortable, pleasant surroundings. The real test of all these efforts can now commence as eager students are taught the knowledge that they and the state will need in the competitive, shrinking world we now find ourselves in. The 5 nations with the highest rates of increasing gross national products of the 80s were Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore. A group extremely short on natural resources, but rich in human resources. In the 90s, we can look for a slower rate of growth of human resources here in America. Consequently, our challenge for the 90s will be to graduate students equipped with excellent educations and strong commitments to the free enterprise system. For only by doing so can we regain our accustomed role of world leadership. All of my contacts with the staff have impressed me that Dean Ballum and the university have assembled here a group of talented and intelligent instructors capable of doing their part toward achieving this. God bless them all to this end, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. And I also want to thank Mr. Simmons and Mr. Paulson for designing and for constructing a ceiling of glass over the atrium. Were it not there, we might witness a translation. Oral, would you come up here now? We might even witness it anyway, you know, possible. As I was introducing guests this morning, some didn't know each other. I had to introduce Oral to Tacey Ballum. They hadn't seen each other for 2 years. After the groundbreaking a couple of years ago, this gentleman was here before daylight and here after dark, and he now has a contractor's license and also considering entering Art School of Architecture at the University of Utah. But quite seriously, no individual has dedicated himself more completely to this project than the Dean of the College of Education, Oral L. Ballum. He dreamed of it when few thought it could ever come to pass. But he did not stop at dreaming. His impact is found in the design, in the execution of that design, and in obtaining matching funds, which came from so many of the colleague teachers and friends in Utah who know and respect his leadership. Please welcome and show your appreciation to this excellent administrator and dedicated servant, Oral Ballum.
The president accused me at the groundbreaking ceremonies of choking up. Stand prepared, President. Thank you very, very much. It's overwhelming. Governor, my office you have seen, have you not? No, take a look at it. It's the size it is because a petition from some department heads, a couple of secretaries that work closely with me, Ed Brink, and the contractors. It's twice as large as it was to begin with. Now, if it's larger than yours, I'll put the petition back in that one day when I came to work was gone. And my office is a little larger than it might have been. That song, It's a Wonderful Day, was my request. I was very touching, and thanks to the Edith Bowen School. And I hope you all take a chance to see the film that has been prepared by the Instructional Technology Department and Dwayne Heaton and others that gives you a quick schematic of the growth of that interesting process of building this building. Yes, we took our jibes. Are we digging a swimming pool or trying to reach China? Will a good windstorm blow it over and so on? But Abel, David, all of you, it's come to pass. Let me be serious a bit and read my prepared remarks. Otherwise, I could spend all day telling you all about the history of this building. But founded in 1888, Utah State University is recognized as a major land-grant institution which has achieved an international reputation in teaching, research, and service. The College of Education, since its inception in 1921, has been a major contributor to this reputation, and we are proud of that. And we are proud to be part of a premier institution, Utah State University. A bit of history. The founding charter for establishing the Agriculture College of Utah, USAC, stated that it would be a college where the leading object would be related to agriculture and mechanic arts. And by specific legislative act in 1905, the Utah Agriculture College was forbidden to offer any classes in education, a restriction that remained in place until 1921, when new legislation specifically added pedagogy to the classes that could lawfully be taught. Now, following the beginning of the present College of Education in 1921, a national summer school was started specifically for teachers in the Intermountain West. These summer schools were taught by a nucleus of the finest teachers in the United States. This tradition continues. The response was such that in 1926, USAC was formally accredited by the Association of American Universities, and the next year, the Utah legislature dropped restrictions on what might legally be taught by specifying the Agriculture College may give courses for the preparation of teachers such as to meet the certification requirements of the State Board of Education. Now, according to A.J. Simmons, Associate Director of USU Library, it was the existence of the College of Education that enabled curriculum at USAC to be expanded to the degree that in 1957, the Utah State Agriculture College formally became Utah State University. And so, from a single reference to teacher education in the USAC catalog in 1907, the number of classes, college classes, and sections of classes taught in the college increased in 1990 to a total of 742, offered by the 7 academic departments of communicative disorders, elementary education, health, physical education and recreation, instructional technology, psychology, secondary education, and special education. Now, also attached administratively to the college are also 2 other premier units, the Developmental Center for Handicapped Persons and the Edith Bowen Laboratory School. Student enrollment in the college has more than doubled in the past 20 years. We currently enroll 1,837 majors and generate more than 20,000 student credit hours per quarter. And in June of this year, conferred 502 bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees. These graduates join more than 13,000 distinguished alumni of our college and this institution. The college coordinates the preparation of teachers, clinicians, and other human service personnel with 32 other premier wonderful departments outside of the College of Education and with every academic college in the university. 20 years ago, the College of Education generated $851,271 in outside funding for research and development. In 1989, this amount was $8,282,742.72, a 1,000% increase, I think. Prior to the completion of this building, as has been mentioned, units in the college were located in seven different locations across campus, and classes were taught in 12 different buildings. As a result, programs were difficult to administer, and interaction among colleagues difficult and limited. Facilities to utilize the latest technological, instructional, and research facilities were lacking. These conditions did severely limit our potential for growth and improvement, and this is no longer the case. The units occupying this building and others in adjacent buildings now provide a hive of educational activity and productivity, not only for students enrolled at Utah State University, but for approximately 4,500 practicing teachers, administrators, counselors, clinicians, and others from the 40 school districts and other agencies and units in the state of Utah and surrounding states. Returning to the past, it seemed only fitting as Utah State University planned to celebrate its first 100 years of existence in 1988, and the College of Education anticipated occupancy of this new Emma Eccles Jones building in 1989, that a history of the college be compiled to preserve some of the facts and events associated with its 60 years of existence, 1927 to 1987. This beautiful new building is completed and occupied, and the history of the college has been compiled by Dr. Ira Turner, former teacher at the Edith Bowen Laboratory School and Professor Emeritus of the Department of Elementary Education. The history documents the establishment of the college, which developed to become an influential force in the growth of Utah State University, international in scope. It presents the major accomplishments of the college. It has a detailed listing of all faculty associated with the college over the years and notes some of the special recognitions that have been achieved by them and by their students. It contains 95 pictures to visually portray the historical evolution of the college. The history is dedicated to the many capable graduates, and particularly to those many dedicated faculty who over the years have provided a legacy of excellence in the best tradition of a land-grant institution, providing a base of excellence on which to build for in the future. And it is recognized that this history can only be a vignette to try and reflect the essence of this college and preserve many facts and events associated with it. Its purpose is not only to record the past, but to evoke fond memories of those alumni, faculty, and others associated with the college over the years who cherish their affiliation with it. It is available for purchase during these festivities if you are interested. Mrs. M. Eccles Jones is recognized as a very important portion of this history. For in 1927, Utah State University took action to establish a teacher education laboratory school, at least the Whittier School, from Logan City. And Professor C.E. McClellan was given the charge for its development with instructions from then-President E.G. Peterson to the effect, you will be given $15,000 to complete coverage for all expenses, and you are to hire all teachers, plural, all supervisors, plural, and other such help as you need, all for $15,000. Now, this was the forerunner of the current Edith Bowen Laboratory School. Now, during this period, Edith Bowen, supervisor for Logan City Schools, was on leave studying at Columbia College, Teachers College in New York. The Depression caused her position to be abolished by Logan City, and Professor McClellan hired her as USAC's student teaching supervisor at the Whittier School. Now, she was eager to start a kindergarten in Logan City, and her dream of a kindergarten may not have been realized had it not been for the unselfish efforts of her dear friend, Emma Eccles Jones, who had completed her master's degree at Columbia Teachers College in early childhood education. Because Mrs. Jones agreed to teach the kindergarten without pay, Logan City School District agreed to supply a room and supplies for that kindergarten. Emma Eccles Jones' generosity at that time helped countless youngsters gain a better education. Her continued generosity and participation in education, as summarized in your program, is extraordinary and provides an enduring basis for the University and College of Education to carry forward her philosophy and our commitment to it. We are, Mrs. Jones, committed to build on your philosophy and our tradition of excellence and to continue to graduate future teachers and educational leaders, counselors, clinicians, and others located in business and other settings who are capable, sensitive, dedicated, liberally educated, and professionally prepared to touch the lives of children, youth, and adults, prepared to teach them well, to help them to achieve happy and productive lives. Mrs. Jones, as a result of your generosity, we dream of increased research and development activities to improve the art and practice of teaching. We look forward to developing more effective ways to reach out and better serve schools and teachers and others in service as they pursue their dream of improving the lives of the children and youth under their care. For we believe, as you, that no public or personal enterprise is more important to people, to the nation, indeed to the world, than education. For education is the public undertaking that appears closest to people's hearts as they dream of a better future for them and their children in a more rational world. Now about the magnificent building, made possible by Mrs. Jones and many others, by Governor Bangerter and the Utah legislators, and many, many, many donors and friends. Now, the entire project included relocating 7 tennis courts, renovation of the Edith Bowen Elementary School, and the construction and furnishing of this building. We asked the architectural firm of Edwards and Daniels to design an open, happy, stimulating building. We asked them to make it cost-effective for both construction and operation, functional and adaptable to future change. We believe they have done an exceptional job in doing that. For example, with few exceptions, all offices and conference rooms have windows with outside or into the atrium view, open and stimulating. The new building, now remember all this trivia, you may be called upon to repeat it. This building contains 93,765 square feet, I think, and measures 320 feet long, 86 feet wide, and 65 feet high to the top of that atrium. When the Arts Council was here, or the people were installing the artwork, a plane flew across on a sunny day and left a vapor trail, and it was a beautiful sight to behold. It contains, from basement to the 4th floor, 27 instructional classroom laboratories, conference and seminar rooms, 137 offices and office areas, and 54 storage, service, mechanical, and other service rooms. Now, the construction costs of this new building, this building was $6,495,288, or $69.27 a square foot. Right? Right. We've been asked why we didn't move the walls in and save money, but I'm assured by the architects that by closing in this atrium, we would not have saved any money for the taxpayers of Utah or for Mrs. Jones. And we're most pleased with this effect of this building. I should mention also, we have a fine custodial staff, and we have the only custodian that can shovel snow to get into the building and then rake leaves after he gets in, and we think that's marvelous. And he has done that, believe me. These trees are supposed to stop shedding within 3 months. Furnishings in the building cost $648,000. Architect fees and service costs were $443,200. Well, had enough of that? Let me tell you about the finance of the building. Mrs. Jones generously contributed $3,331,000 to challenge us to construct this building, and she gave us 4 conditions. One was, as President has said, to locate it adjacent to the Edith Bowen School, name it after her. We love that, to do that. The other was to raise at least another $1 million from our friends and other contributors and have the state legislature appropriate $4 million to construct the building. And we appreciate everybody's efforts in meeting all four of those conditions. At the Edith Bowen Laboratory School, renovations were made to the multi-purpose room, to the Ann Carroll Moore Library, additions were made to the kitchen, and a kiva added, and many other improvements made to the Edith Bowen School. We invite you to visit it today, and also, if you're so inclined, to visit the Health, Physical Education, and Recreation Building just to the west of us, to the Department of Communicative Disorders across the street from us, the Edith Bowen School directly to the east of us, the Developmental Center for Handicapped Persons just behind it, and believe it or not, with this wonderful new facility, we still have people housed on the second floor of the Valley View High Rise in the basement of the Junction, out at the Research Park, and over to the Art Barn. You thought we were all here, didn't you? We're not. And that is not an ungrateful statement. We're so pleased. And the building of this building did relieve a great deal of badly needed space in the library, teaching space, and office space for the English department, and so on. More about the building. The Utah Percent for Art Act requires a percent of construction cost to be used to enhance the quality of life in Utah by placing high-quality art in public buildings. A committee of the Utah Division of Fine Arts of the Department of Community and Economic Development under the chairship of David Holtz selected from 30 bid proposals from throughout the United States. The 3 suspended sculptures that you see from the ceiling from artist Jeff Smith in Texas. They measure approximately 15 feet long, 6 feet wide at the widest part, and weigh 307 pounds each. As I understand it, Mr. Smith is considered a light artist, and he has calculated what the sun's ray at different times of the year will do through that sculpture to enhance the beauty and liveliness of this atrium. Some other trivia quickly. This is a large building. It contains 14,024 square feet of glass, not counting the atrium. 21 8/10 miles of conduit, containing 94 4/10 miles of electric wires of one kind or another. We can plug electrical appliances into 2,637 outlets and turn on or off 660 light switches for 1,377 electrical appliances. Now, if you want to try that, I'll take you through the building. We can call one another, usually on 141 telephones, and if not, there's a public telephone right out there by the vending area we can use. There are more than 250,000 bricks covering the building, 93,000 square feet of tile on the ceilings, 2,850 gallons of paint on the walls. The building side is, well, I've said that. Shouldn't say the tennis courts because we took up some cherished grass space, and I continue to apologize to the Department of Health, Physical Education, and Recreation from that. But moving from bricks and mortar, facts and figures, may I conclude by also paying tribute, redundant possibly, but sincere, to the heritage on which we build, made possible by the sterling accomplishments of the College of Education faculty, past and present. To our graduates and alumni who are exceptional, and to whom we have paid tribute through the resolution found in your program, which has been distributed to 1,000 schools, offices, teachers, and other people throughout Utah and surrounding states. To Utah State University, to President Stanford Kazare, Vice Presidents William Lai and Evan Stevenson, Director of Campus Planning Wendell Morse, Architect and Construction Coordinator Ed Brink, Paul Sampson, Director of Physical Plant, and those many, many lovely, wonderful people in their units who were so cooperative and helpful to us in accomplishing this complex project. You should have been with us over the holidays when December the 18th, our days extended and their days from 5:30 in the morning till 10:30 at night. We did take 2 days off. I think they were the 25th of December and I believe the 1st of January. Those are the only 2 I can remember that we took off. To the College of Education Associate Deans, Department Heads, and Faculty, and Luann Parkinson, my Executive Secretary, who are so patient or kindly impatient as the project unfolded. Tacey told me that I should make a public apology. She said I've been grouchy for 3 months, and she had sensed I'd been grouchy to all of you good people. I repent. I promise you I'll be my usual jovial, scintillating self from this point forward. To Governor Bangerter, the legislator, and legislators who joined in this project by funding nearly one-half of the costs. To our many, many friends you here assembled who made financial and other contributions to help pay for the project and support it in any way. To the architectural firm of Edwards and Daniels who put our dream on paper. And to Craig Bybee of the firm who was supervising architect on the job. To Finby Paulson Incorporated, general contractor Abel and David Paulson, the construction supervisor. I must say I'm glad we got the building as far along as we did because I could not stand any more of those Thursday morning meetings out in that cold construction shack out and back, even though you were such good company. To Neil Stowe, Jim Soderberg, Mr. Bingham of the State Division of Facilities, Construction, and Management, who supervised and helped move this complex project along. To the Utah Arts Council, Utah Division of Fine Arts, the Department of Community and Economic Development, and those good folks who helped us with that project. And certainly, most certainly, to Mrs. M. Eccles Jones, who truly pioneered this occasion by her early involvement with us nearly 60 years ago in early childhood education and at the Edith Bowen School, culminating in her most magnificent $3,310,000 gift to be used to perpetuate her philosophy and her dream of a better future through education. And M, as we have come to know you, although most of us have not had the great honor to meet you, we especially pay tribute and thank you very, very much as we celebrate the dedication of your and our M. Eccles Jones Education Building. Thank you.
Thank you, Oral, for that thoughtful encapsulation of all aspects of the construction of this building and what it represents programmatically, human resource. If you want to challenge Oral on any of those figures about the number of outlets and so on, he'll be glad to take you through and show you item by item. He speaks with integrity. And congratulations on the completion of your dream. Now please listen to the students of the 4th and 5th grades of the Edith Bowen under the direction of Miss Joyce Klein and accompanied by Mrs. Marilyn Johnson. They will sing Over the Meadows and Rose. That's what we're all about. They're our future. Thank you. Now, you might ask, those of you who are older, my age, maybe even one or two if you're a little younger, where's the sixth grade? That's all the students from Edith Bowen School, because the structure of education in Utah, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth elementary. Now the middle school is sixth, seventh, and eighth. The rest go to high school. Now, maybe you didn't appreciate that fact. You thought we still had junior high schools, didn't you? We appreciate the vitality, the excellent teaching, the great spirit of the special school, the Edith Bowen, the only one of its like in Utah. It's now time to pay tribute to Mrs. Emma Eccles Jones for her most generous contribution to this building and to the renovation of the Edith Bowen School, and for the challenge she gave to us to generate additional private support and to persuade the legislature to match those funds. I'm proud to announce the challenge has been well met. What you see today fulfills our pledge to Mrs. Jones. I would now like to ask Mr. Spencer Eccles to join Dean Ballum, Vice President Lai, and me as we unveil the special tribute sculpture, after which I will read the tribute contained thereon. Engraved on the glass panels are a rendering of the pencil drawing of Emma Eccles Jones, created by Glenn Edwards of our faculty at the time of her award of the honorary degree of humanities in 1985, and our tribute to her, which I will now read. Emma Eccles Jones is honored as an alumna, as a pioneer in early childhood education, and as a gracious benefactor to Utah State University. After her formal education at USU, Radcliffe, the University of California, Berkeley, and Teachers College, Columbia University, she was encouraged by Edith Bowen, her close friend and a mentor, to apply her new teaching methods by founding the first kindergarten in Logan at the Whittier School, where she donated her salary in exchange for needed supplies. She not only taught young children, but also taught a whole new generation of prospective teachers in Utah and California, and provided them with a solid foundation for their professional careers. Utah State University proudly identifies its programs and education with the exemplary accomplishments of this talented woman by dedicating and naming this facility the Emma Eccles Jones Education Building. Herein we commit ourselves to extend to future generations of teachers the vision exemplified by Emma Eccles Jones, that they might go forth with the most innovative and effective approaches to teaching obtainable in the West. Her renowned commitment, talent, and generosity inspires the College of Education to dedicate itself to building on a tradition of excellence. Dedicated the 23rd of January, 1990. We truly regret that this great monument to Mrs. Jones has come so late in her life that her health forbids her from being with us. We want her to know how deeply felt is our appreciation and respect for her life and her example to educational community. It is a particular pleasure to know that our appreciation can be heard by members of her family who were seated in the auditorium, or I should say the antrium today. May I ask all of you who are of the family of Mrs. Jones related to her, would you please stand so we can recognize you and Mrs. Jones may see you when she views the videotape. But the relatives of Emma Eccles Jones, please stand so we can recognize you and she also when she sees the video. Please do so. Manon. Thank you. Representing Mrs. Jones here today is Mr. Spencer F. Eccles, her nephew, and also, as you know, is the chairman of the board and chief executive officer of the First Security Corporation. His recent duties have included a rigorous tour of all the divisions of the bank to make an economic forecast for the future of this region. We are pleased that he's willing to share time with us to receive our respect on behalf of his aunt, the surviving member of a large family noted for their outstanding personal accomplishments and sensitivity to the needs of their communities. Spence gave a touching presentation at the time of the groundbreaking of this building a little over 2 years ago. It was a stormy weather then, but spirits were high. We are pleased to welcome him again today, but this time in excellent weather, if not sunny, at least not snowing or raining. Spencer Eccles.
Thank you very much and welcome. Certainly Governor Bangerter and President Kazir and all the friends and relatives that are here today, friends of Utah State University. First of all, let me digress and say, Governor and President, thank you very much on behalf of the Eccles family for the nice words that you said, but let me say, on behalf of all the family, we are privileged, truly privileged, to be able to share in the growth of this state. Now then, what I'm here for today is to represent Emma Eccles Jones, alias Aunt Em, or as she is known in family circles affectionately, Aunt Emma Jones. I talked again with her last night. As we've said, she couldn't be here today. Her health is good, but her legs aren't. She lives in Oakland, or in Piedmont to be specific, California, and she's going to be 92 years young on March 6th. So, as we've said, we're videotaping these dedication proceedings this morning so that she can share this occasion at least vicariously when she receives the tape next week. And she can do it over and over again as she wants. So, excuse me for a moment while I welcome Aunt Emma Jones to the program. Good morning, Aunt Em. Welcome to Logan. Welcome back to Logan. We miss you today. Governor Bangerter and President Kazir and many friends and relatives are here with us. They also want to say hello to you. So, hello, Aunt Em, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Aunt Em. Thank you. You'd be very good on the Wheel of Fortune. Aunt Em, I'm going to paraphrase my remarks from the groundbreaking over 2 years ago, November 2nd, 1989 to be exact, and to share the background on you once more on this special day for you and for Utah State and the legislature and all who have contributed to this beautiful building. I told you before the groundbreaking that I talked with her and that she had said that when President Kazir and Dr. Lai had called on her in June 1985, she had no idea what they wanted. And they said, and I quote from my notes, that they hoped to approach her and maybe she could assist them. But when she heard the amount, she said she nearly fell out of her chair. She later confided in me and said that she doesn't give $3 million away every day. Well, they quickly said, of course, that the legislature would come through, and many others also. She said she'd consider it and at least read the brochure. She said that she was overwhelmed, but she did read it, and she immediately saw the great need of the College of Education, which over the years was scattered all over the campus. So, believing that the legislature would commit the state funds in a timely fashion, and they did. They took their time. She can have me say that, Governor. And that her gift in the form of a challenge grant would be a catalyst, the impetus, if you will, to the USU alums to join in the giving. And she called Clark Giles, her legal advisor, and said, "Tell them yes." Well, now, to understand her love for education, you have to understand Aunt Em's background, which you've read and heard a little bit, but I'm going to hit just the high spots once again. Her father was David Eccles, who came here to Utah from Scotland in 1863, and he lived in Ogden and Baker and Logan Cache Valley. She was the fifth child, born March 1898 in Baker to David Eccles' second wife of a polygamous marriage. She finished 8th grade and then went to the AC up here on the hill for 7 years. World War I came, and she went to Cambridge to attend Radcliffe, the ladies' portion of the Harvard, and she took English and sociology, and she took psychology, and then she had to pick a language. She had to take German or Greek, so she picked German and said it was Greek to her. She came back to the University of Utah and went to school for 2 weeks, and then there was a national flu epidemic that closed the college. Then she went to the University of California, where she got her BA in English and heard of Patty Hill, nationally known in kindergarten work, and was encouraged to go back and did so to Columbia University Teachers College in New York City. Now, she lived in an apartment with Aunt Noni, her sister, and her brother George. Don't worry, George Eccles. I'm not going to tell him, Aunt Em, about anything we talked about. But she got her master's degree in education, and then she taught in a private home, then returned back to Utah, where she married Lee Jones. And it was at that time that the then superintendent of the Logan Public Schools, the beloved Edith Bowen, said, and I quote, Aunt Em said, "You ought to put all that training to good use. We really need it." And that's when Edith Bowen gave her one room in the Whittier School with tables and chairs, papers and crayons, and she was able to start the first formal kindergarten in Cache Valley. Now, because she donated her salary back for books and supplies, she felt it was all right to go to all the local merchants and ask them to kick in, and they did support. And she said that first the people were reticent to put such young children into school, but after the first year, they couldn't take care of them all. Now, she really was putting all of her training finally to good use. And her husband Lee would be Santa at Christmas and borrow a sleigh and climb in the back window, she said, and give a present and give presents that she had bought. Lee was awfully good Santa, she said. He was very jolly. But in 1937, he passed away, and so she went back to California to live with her sister Noni. She was called back to Logan, to the AC, for summer school demonstrations at the campus for a few years, and then World War II came about, and everyone was going to work. She wanted to do it, so she took an aptitude test, and she really wanted to be a welder, she told me. But her aptitude test showed that she would be good at radio repair or sheet metal work. Well, anyway, Dr. Wagner at Mills College, California, learned of her background and wanted her to teach in the Department of Child Development. And so she did special teaching on running child care centers. But her relationship with the AC, which by now was Utah State University, again came to the surface when she endowed a chair up here, much against the will of her good friend Milton Merrill. It was in his name, and he's much beloved and admired professor, I understand, up at this campus. And so there you have a brief reiteration, a thumbnail sketch of the background of Aunt Em Eccles Jones, deeply involved over many, many years in the field of education, specifically at the kindergarten level and in child development. And I must say, as an aside, where of course she won't hear me, this new building, she is very pleased and proud for the building and for the education department at the USU that will bear her name in perpetuity. Now, Aunt Em, you told me a few things that I want once again to share with the group today. First of all, that David Eccles enjoyed much success in Utah and in Cache Valley. And Mariner Eccles helped guide the family resources, and now you're happy to share such resources with Utah State University. And about her gift, she said, "This is my biggest and my best. Oh, they do need it, certainly. And if I could travel there today, I'd be there in a minute. Hurry up and finish it and send me the pictures so I can see it. I'm very sorry I can't be there. I've never spent anything that has done so much good." Now that was at the groundbreaking. Last night I had opportunity to visit with her, and in a moment of frustration, remember she started on this in 1985, she said, "I'll be damn glad when it's finally finished." Well, Aunt Em, it's finally finished, and it's wonderful. In fact, it's beautiful, it's functional, and it's much needed. And as you said last night, you look forward to hearing of the success of the classes held in this building, and you're delighted that the dedication can take place. That you hope that it is everything that the planners thought it would be, that it will help attract students into education and produce the highest quality teachers. And she also said, "I can't imagine that I ever taught. It's so far in the background." And then as a side, she told me that she taught Chase Peterson in kindergarten. He was so adorable and smart. And she was patting herself on the back for helping to start him out the right way. She said, "Proper genes and good teaching and all that." Aunt Em wanted me to also thank all the dreamers and the planners and the movers and the shakers and the legislature and the taxpayers and all the Utah State University alums who contributed so much to make this building become a reality. It's truly the epitome of the public and private sector working together. So, ladies and gentlemen, the future is now upon us, and the good results to come from this very building are manifest. And Em, all of us gathered here today can only say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you, and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer, for sharing those most thoughtful sentiments regarding your lovely and generous aunt. It's been just 5 years ago this month that Bill Lai and I had the privilege of sitting in her front room and partaking of her graciousness and her generosity. And may I join Spence in extending deep appreciation, thank you, and our love. We have asked Dr. Walter D. Talbot, former State Superintendent of Public Instruction and one of Utah's best-known educators, and Chairman of the Fundraising Committee, to deliver the dedicatory prayer for this new facility. Dr. Talbot.
Our Heavenly Father, we approach Thee on this significant occasion with humble hearts and with gratitude to dedicate this building, that all that transpires herein might lift those who seek learning from mundane levels to greater heights. We thank Thee for the generosity of people. We pray that thou would grant unto those who come here a desire to learn and a desire to be learned, not only in those things that will enable them to earn a livelihood, but also in those matters that will cause them to live more fully, to improve their environs, to secure their futures, and to raise their aspirations. We thank thee for this eminent university, which stands as a beacon on a hill to beckon those who are searching for enriched lives and for lofty ideals. We thank thee for those who administer the affairs of this institution, and for those who teach and do research and render support services. We thank thee for the great mission of this university, which is to reach out and to do good beyond the borders of its campus into the communities of this state. We thank thee that its influence is being felt across the nation and throughout the world through well-designed programs and through those who have benefited from attendance here, who now have an impact for good upon others. We pray that thou would help us to always be mindful that there is dignity in education only to the extent that those who are its recipients will use their talents and their energy for the benefit of mankind. We pray that thou would buoy us up and strengthen us, that we may more fully appreciate all those things that we enjoy, and that our lives will reflect the spirit of this university and our commitment to the principles of service and love and devotion to duty. On this day, we are assembled in peace and in unity to dedicate this facility, which has been erected for the purpose of bringing the advantages of education not into the lives of not only those who come here to learn, but all those of vast numbers whom they will teach and serve. We thank thee for the conditions under which we meet, and recognize that they are not common in this world of turmoil and conflict. And we pray that those things that we enjoy here may be multiplied, that others too may taste them and experience them. Help us, Father, to envision the importance of this great work, that thy children who come under the overall purview of it will be edified and lifted beyond their natural endowments to reach their highest potential. We recognize that without thee, all our best efforts would be puny. We therefore earnestly seek for thy direction and thy assistance in all that takes place here. We thank those who have contributed of their means and used their talents to bring this tremendous project to fruition. We are especially thankful to thee for the Emma Eccles Jones family, whose willing heart and whose open pocketbook gave hope for this facility. We are thankful for those in the legislature and those in state government offices who had the wisdom and the foresight to respond to the need for this edifice by appropriating funds for planning and pledging funds for the completion of this project. And we're thankful to all those with thin resources who gave all that they reasonably could for the furtherance of this great project. Those in the public school system of the state and those in the community of higher education, and especially those of the faculty of the College of Education here, we commend to thee for their generosity and their enormous input, not only in money, but in time and effort, and with enthusiasm needed to complete this project. To those on whom thou hast endowed the talents for planning and designing and constructing this facility, we express our deep appreciation and ask that thy special blessings unto them will be a just reward for the extra effort and care that marked their work. Now, in keeping with the purpose of this occasion, we dedicate this building to thee and pray that thou would accept it as a token of our gratitude and our thanksgiving. For we are indebted to thee for all that we have and all that we are. We dedicate the ground on which the building rests, that it may provide the necessary support. We dedicate the ground by which it is surrounded, that it may add beauty and adornment, to set off the remarkable lines of this building and enhance its attractiveness, as well as its utility. We dedicate the foundation and the walls, the doors, the windows, the floors, the stairways, the ceilings, the roof, and all of the ornamentation. We dedicate the classrooms, the seminar rooms, the research stations, the offices, the hallways, the media centers, the instructional resource centers, that they may serve the purpose for which they are intended, and that all will proceed as thou would have it proceed in this great building. We pray for thy care and keeping of all this, that in total the building will be protected from the destructive elements of nature, from vandalism, from carelessness, and that it may serve its purpose well until it has fulfilled its lifetime of usefulness. Now, Father, inasmuch as this building is a part of a complex of buildings and facilities committed to education, to the College of Education of this great university, we seek thy direction, that the students will be the center focus of the programs and the faculty, and that all the facilities combined will be used to their best advantage. Wilt thou bless the faculty and the administrators of the various programs, and those who oversee the breadth and the depth of all that occurs here, that they may work together, and that things will be accomplished through their continuous cooperation and high-minded professionalism. Wilt thou be with those who teach and those who otherwise associate with students, that they will see in each student a potential for greatness, and that not one talent, however latent, will go undeveloped. We again thank thee for thy many blessings unto us. We express our love for thee and for thy Son, and our thanksgiving for the pervading influence of thy Holy Spirit. We dedicate this building unto thee, together with ourselves, in the holy name of thy beloved Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot. This has been a choice occasion for all of us. We hope it has been for Mrs. Jones in California when she has the opportunity of viewing what took place. Because of timing, faculty and students are already well installed in this building for winter quarter. I think Dean Ballum particularized on the move, which was a 24-hour, I think they close out 36 hours in a 24-hour day moving into the building before winter quarter. We're thrilled now to have it formally dedicated to their use. I envision this spacious facility as a beacon which will spread the light of education to schools, teachers, and their young pupils in every expanding concentric circles throughout this entire region. The reputation of Utah State University teachers is already well established, not only in this region, but well beyond the borders. With this new tool, I confidently expect it to grow and expand to unheard levels of success. We proudly commit ourselves to that goal. It's a pleasure to thank all those who participated on today's program and to many others who've contributed so lovingly of their time, their talent, and money to assure the completion of this excellent facility, and to many who have labored behind the scenes to make this celebration, this special event, what it has been. Now, those who are attending the dinner may go directly in a southwesterly direction. And if you get lost, which you hope is not the case, the dinner will be served in the Taggart Student Center ballroom. Pleased to recognize the presence of my predecessor, Glenn Taggart, here today, for whom that building has been named. Or you may take the shuttle bus, which will be directly in front of the building, to that facility. Those of you who have not had the privilege of having a tour, I encourage you to do so. You have, even the beauty of the atrium does not totally comprehend the richness of what lies behind the walls. And if you haven't had that opportunity, please take advantage of it. The tours will commence again at 2:30 this afternoon. We encourage your participation. Thank you for sharing this happy time with us.